We're live. Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and Light Body Academy. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I am the acceleration expert. And we are here in the chats to talk about topics and issues that are impactful for us way showers, new paradigm visionaries, healers, starseeds, etc. We have skill sets and perceptions that are not like the average human, let's call it like that, and therefore we have very different challenges. And I think we all can agree that today, today's day and age, there are lots and lots of challenges for us to navigate. I do my best to provide the liberated perspective to these challenges, to assist you in navigating these times with autonomy, sovereignty, and empowerment. So welcome everybody to the lunchtime chats. I'll pause right here while the crew gets on board, and I'm just gonna welcome everybody as you come on. Go ahead, say hi, let us know where you are. I'd love to hear how where you guys are coming from. I'm just gonna check over here in the chats. Hello, dear sister. Hello, dear sister Milana. Welcome. Hello, dear Facebook user. Oh, so for those of you who are joining on the Rise of the Multidimensional Human Facebook group, if you want me to be able to see your name, so I can call your name out when I'm reading your questions and feedbacks, on this feed, there's a description, and if you click on the Show More button, there'll be a link at the very bottom of that description that will allow StreamYard to show me your name. So if you want me to be able to acknowledge you by name, go ahead and click on that link, and then I'll be able to see you. For those of you who are escaping the Facebook the Facebook regime, we are also broadcasting these chats on our Light Body Academy YouTube channel, so you can catch us there as well. But if you want to be part of the conversation that develops these topics that we go over, there are two ways to join in the conversation. One is that Rise of the Multidimensional Human Facebook group, and the other avenue is the Multidimensional Human group on Telegram. So you guys are welcome to check us out on Telegram. I post actually a lot of things that I don't post on Facebook because of the different censorship and stuff that's going on. They're flagging people like us that think differently than the given narrative, and therefore there's a lot of things are not it's not safe to post on Facebook because they threaten to ban our group or hide our group so people can't access the information. So we usurp that by going into using Telegram as another platform that does not censor, and then I'll post things there. And you guys are welcome to post things there as well. I figured out there's a chat feature on that group where you can, I called it the multidimensional human chat, where you can add in things, post things that you feel are relevant or important for us to know, and for us in our community to know. So, and that is, you're able to do that without worry of any kind of repercussion. Okay. All right, welcome, Polly. Hello, Carol. Hi, Joanne. Good to see you. Hello from Guatemala. That must be Jackie, our dear sister. Hello, Gabriella. So good to see you guys. Welcome. Yeah, we have some pretty significant topics to talk about today. And before I dive into those topics, if you find these chats useful and uplifting, I invite you to like, subscribe, share these chats with others that you feel can resonate with the message that we have. We are on YouTube particularly. We are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I mean we could do this by paid ads and stuff, but I would really like to have real subscribers that really love this content to reach that 1,000 mark. So if you guys can help us out with that, that would be great. And I've had messages from folks that they like to, they get a lot out of this and they want to help support what we do, because we do these chats every week for free and to support the community. And you guys are welcome to donate if you wish to help support our cause. And you can find a link for that on lightbodyacademy.com. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into these topics. So there's I think a lot of people noticed that there was a very significant energetic charge happening, especially with the LionsGate portal reaching its climax. And actually, I was feeling it reached its climax far before August 8th, but that seems to be the date that people like because it's the 8s are synchronistic to the energy. But for me, that portal was opening and flowing for several weeks even before that. And then it seemed to have a culmination, a really strong peak. And now we're sifting through all the stuff that has been stirred up within us from that transmission. Now, these are transmissions of consciousness to this planet, streaming to this planet like a full-on, let's say, waterfall of consciousness, life force energy. And as you guys know, anytime that you pull in energy like that and digest it, that which is not the truth, or that which is not conducive to that energy that lives inside of you, your body, your subconscious, what have you, rushes up to the surface for us to purify and deal with. So that may be transmuting, that may just mean letting go, that may mean having to change certain attitudes, relationships, habits, stuff like this. We know, those of us that are in this group, we know what a healing journey looks like because it's pretty much how we survived this long on this planet, was dealing with these kinds of issues that arise for us. Sometimes it manifests as sleeplessness. Sometimes it manifests as nightmares. Sometimes, it manifests as, things exploding in our face in our 3D world. So we're aware that it's not just, we're not a victim to these things that are exploding in our face in a 3D world. We're aware that is connected to something inside of us. It's showing us something that is trying to break through within us. So in that way, we have a very different relationship to chaos and turmoil. Okay, so first topic we have, dear brother Starshine in our group. Oh my gosh. So for some reason, I don't know why your name is escaping me. I totally know you, dear brother, but for some reason it's leaving my brain. Oh boy. And he asked, what is your perspective on the solar flare we're all waiting on? So for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the idea of a massive solar flash happening, and with that, a grand awakening. Humans are going to wake up to who they truly are on an infinite level, and it's going to drastically shift the trajectory of this planet. So some people are calling it a solar flash. There's been lots of sources of this kind of event happening. Or lots of sources to point to that talk about this kind of event happening. I think the most recent one that I'm aware of is some hypnosis sessions that have happened where people were regressed to times in between lifetimes, and they are recalling how their soul came to be incarnating on this planet. And part of the reason why they came to incarnate on this planet is to assist humanity in dealing with the solar flash. That's the most recent source of information that I've heard. There could be newer things, but that's what's been sent to me. So just to share that with you guys. All right, and then we have, what is everyone meaning when they say jumping timelines? I like this one. Or even parallel lives being lived. I think they are both different, but not sure. Is it deja vu, like a time loop? Excellent question. I believe this is from Dear Starshine Carol. And then we have comment. Oh yeah, this is a poster from our dear sister Gabriella posted this. And this was a plea. This was a plea to, please understand that our decisions are affecting the collective. And she posted a video of a virologist that works at a hospital that is saying, our hospital's full, blah, blah, blah. There's people dying, get vaccinated, So this is what came with that plea. And she says, please understand that the rest of us are subject to the laws of 3D. Your belief that COVID doesn't apply to you is rejection of the rules of 3D, and thus, I'm adding the thus, a rejection of your fellow humanity. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that a very interesting take on the situation? So I want to talk about that because this is something that more and more we're being faced with, because they're really tightening the screws on people who won't follow the narrative, who don't believe what they're being told, that that are declaring personal sovereignty, and the spin is that, you know, you're harming your fellow humans, you're not playing along, you're endangering people. You know what I mean? There's this hostile, this narrative that's snowballing into pretty significant hostility. So I want to talk about that. So you guys, multidimensionals, have some place to speak from, where they're going to be able to understand what's going on for you. Okay. All right. Oh, Jimmy. Duh. See, I told the first question was brought forward by dear Jimmy. All right. So, whew, I am in hot, deep South Mississippi right now, and as you can tell, I'm melting a little bit. Actually, I do enjoy the heat, though. The sticky is a little bit uncomfortable, but when there's a nice breeze, it's really quite pleasant. I'm enjoying all the green. The trees here are amazing. Oh my gosh, some old trees that just sprawl out, and these giant beings. It's just, I forgot how much I love the green in those big trees. And there's a feeling here in the South that is very unique to the South. It's not like this in other places. I know there's been a lot of turmoil and a lot of shenanigans that have been gone on in the southern states, but there are many who have gone through, you know, many areas of the United States who's gone through extreme suffering. So when I think about the South, it's you know, I feel it for its nature, for its thriving life, more than its social, geological, what do you call it, geopolitical, you know, history. So even though it is very impactful and the suffering is still palpable here, there's still a very significant wound and pain that's within the collective here. So I'm not oblivious to that. But with that all said, the life here is thriving and it's amazing, and I just love to be here. All right, let me get on to the activation part. Okay, so just so we're clear, you guys, we do these activations so we can open up the fields, the energy fields, the consciousness fields, so we can talk about things in a different way, so we can so we're more open to understanding, receiving alternate perceptions of what is going on right now. Because what happens is that we get some information, then we get a particular attitude about it, or a feeling about it, or you know, we have thoughts and feelings about it. And once that happens, and there's no one really that we can have a useful conversation with, or maybe there are a few people we can have a useful conversation with, times we stuck in a particular way of looking at something. You know, the programs inside our subconscious keeps us locked in a narrow view. So I'm doing this activation to open us up to the bigger picture of what's going on here. Because as I say so many times on these chats, reality is not what we think it is. We're trained to believe that there's certain rules to reality of 3D, but that's not the truth. That is actually one of the biggest lies that humanity suffers from right now. So when I activate these fields, just notice how you feel when I draw them out. And really, this activation is for those who say yes to it. If you don't want to be activated, then just say no to that, and you won't. It won't affect you. But many of you here, you know, recognize the significance of this. So those are the ones I want to be talking to. All right. So let me just jump in. So I've been playing around with different ways to draw these out, and this most recent, I guess, rendition of the activation is one that I'm really liking, because it feels softer, it feels more complete when I talk about things in this way. All right, this circle right here is the galactic plane. This is the Milky Way galaxy, and it is also in resonance with every other spiral galaxy in the universe, in the multiverse. Okay, so when you put that kind of spin, that kind of frame up on this outer nesting doll of holding space, you can recognize that you're not limited to just one version, one expression of the Milky Way galaxy. There are a myriad of expressions of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, there are a myriad of expressions of spiral galaxies, and there's lots of other shapes of galaxies as well. But because our consciousness is right now is exploring the spiral galaxy, and this is what we're aware that we're in, this is why it's significant. There are lots of different kinds of galaxies out there. We are infinite beings having a gazillion experiences all at once. Okay, but what's important, why this is relevant now, because when you say you're infinite and you're having all these experiences all at once, it's very difficult to connect into the reality of that, right? It's like, well, my life is very significant to me. When I don't have money to pay my bills, I feel like crap. I feel this way. When I have this fallout in my relationship, I feel it like this, right? It's your pain. And it can also be for pleasure. When I'm singing and dancing for joy and bliss, this is my joy, this is my bliss, right? So in those moments, why is it relevant to realize that there's a gazillion versions of you, having a different experience than you are in the here and now? Okay. What I want to say to this is that when we are aware that what it feels like to be engaged in who we are as a galactic consciousness, when we are able to see that reality, see that existence, and have our 3D existence at the same time, that shifts something for us. That shifts the kinds that influences the here and now perception of our 3D reality. You can recognize that there's other things playing out than just the story of who you think you are. There's this massive momentum of energy that is hurling you through time-space reality that's manifesting what's happening for you in the here and now. Okay, so when you have that perspective influencing you, you don't take things as personally. Okay, you are more apt to step out of the victim and blame game. Okay, that's a disempowerment game that we all get locked in sometime in our life. Because that's a major facet to the life right now here on this planet. So when we can open ourselves up to other perspectives of who we are and have that in our awareness while we're walking through our 3D world, okay, you have very different ideas. You have very different thought patternings happening within you. Your subconscious is not as limited as it once was when you originally thought, maybe if you had this belief when you were younger, that you are just this person and you only have one life, and when you die, right? But when you open up to this bigger perspective, you recognize something very different is happening in the here and now. Okay, so this Milky Way galaxy is a consciousness. It is holding space for us to unfold ourselves within this nesting doll right here. Okay, and this sets the stage for all the other nesting dolls within it. It sets the stage. And as I said, it's a spiral galaxy. And as you resonate with the Milky Way galaxy and the galactic mind, you are also resonating with all other potentially spiral galaxies and throughout the multiverse. Okay. Then we have the next nesting doll, which is the all that is, the I am that I am presence. This is a fabric to who we are. This nesting doll right here is holding us in reality, in this reality, and this nesting doll influences everything that is within it. So this is why, what I think they said, 89% of humanity believes there is a power greater than themselves. Okay? That's because it's hardwired into us. It's that awareness, that consciousness is hardwired into our biosuits and hence into this 3D experience. The keepers of this particular nesting doll, those of you who work with Akashic Records and channeling will possibly know this. The keepers of this particular nesting doll are is the Galactic Federation, That's old paradigm version. The new paradigm version, which is still in the process of getting birthed, is the Intergalactic Federation. Okay? So what's the difference? The Galactic Federation is specific to the Milky Way galaxy. The Intergalactic Federation is between many, many, many galaxies. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So this has a very significant impact to the quality of this nesting doll, the fact that it is beyond simply just this Milky Way. It is beyond the Milky Way with the black hole. It is beyond the Milky Way with the white hole. It is beyond the Milky Way that's split from any other galaxy, because there's also many stories that talk about how the Milky Way is actually split off from its home. There's many who speculate, and there's many channelings that indicate that our galaxy actually belongs within the Andromeda galaxy. Okay, see where that resonates for you. So this is the all that is. A lot of people would call this God, Goddess, I am that I am presence. Okay. Next nesting doll in is frequency. This is your soul song. This is the core frequency of your purpose for being so. So you come to this galaxy, you blend all the way with the all that is consciousness, become one with you're one with all that is, and then there's a thought, there's a intention, a thought that actually springs out of the all that is, and that which springs out is your frequency, is your core frequency. Now, when you work interdimensionally with healing and stuff, you can actually have an influence on this frequency. You can change it, you can magnify it, you can intensify it, there's lots of things you can do. So if your original separation was based on wounding, you can actually go back to that moment and reinform that aspect with the all that is presence again, and emerge back out with a different kind of separation story. That is possible. There's many light workers that have done this and do this and help others do this. This is really helpful when you have a deeply ingrained savior complex. Another program that has been given to humanity. You need saved. If you're suffering, you need saved. There's all kinds of Christian sects that talk about, let Jesus save you, right? So this program is really difficult for humans to get away from because of the intensity of this realm. So those of us on that multidimensional path of empowerment, one of the very first things that we get over and recognize is that there are no victims, there are no saviors, right? And even the perpetrator is a subjective experience. So each of those pieces are part of a disempowerment triangle, and we recognize that as the doorway into the disempowerment program. The victims, the saviors, the perpetrators, okay? And then that also, once we step out of that game, step out of that triangulation game, we also transcend very quickly the perception, the experience, the soul's experience of karma. Okay, that's the idea that if you're a crappy person in one lifetime, you're going to be, living in deep suffering in another lifetime, following lifetime, or maybe reincarnate as a worm or whatever. So there's lots of different variations that are given to that kind of example. You decide where you are with that. So karma absolutely is a reality until it's not, and it's that simple. There's a point in time where you wake up to these outer levels and you recognize that's all part of the drama. That's all part of the game. That's all part of the momentum that keeps us moving in a particular direction. All right. And then our frequency creates our light body. The light forms behind matter was talked about was theorized by Plato, the famous philosopher, and he talked about the light geometry behind all matter, and he boiled down each of the foundation elements of life, of creation, to 5 different shapes. So this is not a new thought. This is something that was well known and then retouched upon by the brilliant philosophers of our past. And actually, this is why they're called the Platonic solids, because it was Plato that introduced the idea of these shapes being the energetic blueprint behind matter. Okay. So our light body, think about it as being a highly complex version of that. Think of all the different kinds of elemental expressions make up this body and map out this life alone, let alone all the other lives, all the other experiences you have in your akasha, all the other experiences you've had as an infinite being traversing the different dimensional realms, timelines, realities this Milky Way galaxy has to offer. All right, so from our light body, we have our akasha. This is the perception of the soul's journey. The soul's journey is something that is a journey that never ends when you reach certain parts of it, okay? When you're looking from inside this nesting doll up to the soul's journey, it feels like you've had many, many lifetimes. It feels like there are parallel lifetimes. It feels like, there's lots of interdimensional experiences in between lifetimes, all this stuff, right? But when you're looking from this outer nesting doll of who you are to the akasha, to the soul's journey, you recognize that it's all happening instantaneously. It's all happening at once because there is no time on these other levels, okay? There is progression and sequence, okay? That's a different kind of time. That's not how we call time. When we're talking, most humans, when we're talking about time, we're talking about something that has that's linear in nature. Once the past is the past, the future is the future, and the now is the now, right? So we quite literally walk through time like an arrow, like this, okay? True time, organic time, doesn't work that way, okay? Linear time works that way. And there's a reason why we have linear time, and that's because this particular reality, in order for us to experience space, we have to have some measure, some linear measure, to recognize progression and movement and stuff like this. But ultimately, the time that is on the galactic level is not like we relate to it here in this realm. All right, so we have our soul's journey, and then we have our belief systems of our individuation, the 4D, the who we think we are, right? Now, the who we think we are heavily influences our 3D experience, okay? You guys heard of psychosomatic health. You've heard of psychosomatic illness, okay? That alone illustrates just how powerful our belief systems, our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions impact our 3D experience, okay? And there's a lot more to talk about that. Even the nature of the elements are subject to our beliefs, our belief systems, okay? So there is a thought out there, like let's say growing plants, for example. In order to grow a plant, you need to have soil, you need to have sun, you need to have nutrients, you need to have, A, B, and C, all these things for this particular kind of plant to thrive and grow and be fruitful, right? Well, there are humans on this planet. One of them is a colony, a community within Scotland named Finhorn that has totally turned that idea, that law of nature, upside down in its head. They have big, beautiful plants that grow out of just sand and rock. And how do they do that? They work with the actual consciousness of the elementals that grow that plant. That's how they do that. It's not about, they weave deeper and deeper awareness and consciousness into that relationship, and that elemental talks back to them, gives them that feedback loop, and that therefore the plant grows where it seems like it would be impossible to grow in any other circumstance. Okay. So our beliefs of what we think has a massive impact on this realm, the 3D realm, the telluric realm, okay? Bruce Lipton also has this beautiful body of work where he discovered that your belief systems and how you feel inside and how you be influences the health of the cell. That is actually what tells the cell what kind of nutrients to take in, what kinds of waste to leave out or to hold on to or whatever. How you be. So this 4D field is very, very, very potent for us humans in the three-dimensional experience. It's just, we are not taught these things. We're taught a different set of rules. So we think that, these other things are the rules. But it's not until you start having, profound healing experiences, or you heal yourself from something, or you know what I mean, you start having experiences, being on your soul's journey of rectifying wounds within yourself, do you recognize that the rules of reality are not at all what we were taught? Okay. All right, then our next layer is the 3D. This is the experience of space. It feels like you and I are separate. You're over on the other side of the world or another side of the country, and I'm here. It feels like that. That's what 3D facilitates for us. But really, all we need to do is shift our awareness to maybe love, gratitude, multidimensionality even, and then we can snap into instant resonance. And when we do that, we can feel each other as if we're right next to each other. Okay? That's sympathetic resonance right there. So the only nesting doll where this space exists is 3D. Everywhere else, we're deeply connected. We're inseparable. Okay, and the foundation of our 3D reality is the telluric realm. That's the microbes, that's the little bacterias and viruses, that's cellular exchanges, ionic exchanges, that's the language of atoms and molecules, which is electromagnetics. Okay, so all of our reality is built on the foundation of that telluric realm. That telluric realm may seem like it's really dense, but sympathetic resonance works instantly within the telluric realm. Okay, so with this tree, for example, if I shift my awareness to water, let's say, because we're in a very wet area, and I start shifting my awareness to the waters within my body and resonate with the waters in the ground, then I can start resonating with the waters flowing through the tree. Now instantly, you know what I mean? We're connected now. We're in communication. It's not a language communication like, hi, how are you, tree? And the tree says, I'm good, how are you? No. It's not like that at all. It's like I can actually start to experience the field of tree. Okay? It's an experiential thing, and it's in their language, not ours. That's how the telluric realm is. And this is why it eludes a lot of people, because they want words. They want words to understand something. And no, it takes patience, it takes observation, it takes watching and paying attention. That's how you learn the language of the telluric realm. Okay. All right, and then we have the center of the Pachamama, the core consciousness, the original sacred dreamer that we are all dreaming within. It's the core of the earth. We are all exploring ourselves through her dream, which is this reality right here. Okay. And then, of course, we have that here and now. That here and now. The only thing we have is the here and now. The only reason why we have a past. The only reason why we have a past is because we're told a story about that past, right? We are held accountable for the past by others, right? There's a saying that the children pay for the sins of the father, right? That was a spell casting put upon humanity. Okay, so we are trained to have our awareness locked into the past, so that is a momentum informing our here and now. So the nesting doll that's creating our here and now in our awareness is stuff from the past that culminates. Okay, but truly, it is possible, and many masters have done this and showed this to us, to be just in the now. And you can be so much in the now that there is no past momentum informing you. There's no past momentum in your subconscious informing you in the here and now, and then you can take everything for as it is. You can just see it for what it is, rather than seeing it for how it connects into your past. This is true liberation right there, okay? Mastery is actually being able to pick and choose what potential futures you have for yourself and have that magnetize you in the here and now to itself, okay? That's mastery. Alrighty, so let's get to these pieces here. Sorry. Let me say hi and welcome everybody. Hello, 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 darlings. Hello, hello, dear Heather. Hello, Nancy. All right, Heather says, oh yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wholeness School, Soul Schooling, good to see you, darling. Cosmic One, hey Sherry, good to see you too. Okay, well, I'm glad you guys are here. Let me know if anything I'm saying is spurring some thoughts or questions that you want to share. Okay, so let me get into this thing about the 3D reality and not being sensitive to those that have to live by the rules of reality. Okay, so what I've set up here so far is, number one, recognize that everybody has their own rules for reality. Okay, what's happening here is that there are control systems in place, media, medical establishment, government, there's these control systems in place that have a specific thing about reality that they want everybody to accept as the truth and live how they say they want us to live. Okay. Now, most people in this group, and this is a tragic truth, but it's the truth. Most people in this group have healed themselves from a diagnosis where allopathic either could not help them at all or they gave them a death sentence. Okay? Most people in this group have gone through a very significant healing journey facing their own death. Okay? It's very serious. Believe me, I work with people around the world. I see the depth. I see the fear that they face. I see the things that have to be faced in order to successfully navigate that journey. Okay, there's nothing light and foo-foo about it. Nothing light at all, right? You're facing your deepest fears. But what happens when you come out on the other side is that, number one, you recognize your autonomy of your choices. Only you are responsible for your health. As soon as you put your health and your well-being in the hands of being in the responsibility of that in the hands of another, you are no longer in control of your life and your choices. You are no longer an empowered human. As soon as you do that, boom, you don't have power anymore. Okay? I've had many interactions with allopathic medicine where they told me, oh, well, you're never going to do this and you're never going to be able to do that. That was all wrong. None of it was true. Okay, so I learned at a very young age the dangers of allopathic medicine, and it's because there's a very arrogant way of looking at things, and if you don't agree with them, then you're ignorant, you're wrong, you don't know better. Okay, and that kind of attitude never really worked with me very well. I've had a doctor tell me that I actually didn't have he actually gaslighted me. He's telling me I didn't have the experiences I just had. Okay, this was a man trying to talk to me about female issues, right? No, didn't work. And if I would have followed his advice, I would have killed my unborn child. Okay, I didn't know I was pregnant at the time. So thank God I didn't listen, or else I wouldn't have my youngest daughter. Many stories like that are alive within this group. Many stories. Everybody has their own unique journey through these pieces. This is where we've learned that being responsible for our own well-being, being responsible for reclaiming our own autonomy, and that includes how we think, how we educate ourselves, how we educate our children, all that stuff matters. All of that really matters, and it has a direct impact on the quality of our lives, the quality of our well-being, our contentment, our peace, our happiness. Okay, it's essential. People who give those responsibility to others are running a rat race, are stressed out, they're not happy, they're not honest, they're not authentic. Okay, there's all those things that come to a head once they get older. For most women, all that comes to a head when you're around the age of 50. This is where we finally wake up to really what we want and give ourselves permission to have it. Okay, so this idea that the way we be, health-wise, well-being-wise, navigating, being in charge of our lives, Like, we are responsible for our choices are responsible for other people's qualities of life, right? That is a program of disempowerment. If people want to be strong, or if people want to give in to, give their power over to others, it takes an equal effort. So my philosophy, I put my effort to making myself strong and resilient versus putting all this effort into managing circumstances and playing by the rules. Okay? Equal effort. So you either spend your effort becoming a strong, vibrant human being, truly living, or you spend your effort managing your circumstances and dealing with stress, chronic stress, which the Mayo Clinic has said through studies that most of America is dying from diseases that are born from living a lifestyle of chronic stress. Okay. So the people who are getting impacted by this, by the shenanigans, don't know how to deal. They're getting bad advice, and it's making their situation worse. And what we can do as multidimensionals, we can't convince them, because all the people need to do is actually look at the data that's being released, and they'll recognize that they're being lied to and manipulated. But people don't. It's not about data anymore. People are so in reaction. They're so deeply in fear, subconsciously, consciously. Everything around them. They feel trapped and suffocated. In between a rock and a hard place. They just want to be told what to do, which was done on purpose, so they know how to get out of it. But the fact is, no one's going to save you. No one. No one's showing up. You only got you and your birthday suit. So you either decide to hit that rock bottom and figure out the way to get yourself out of it, or you're going to drown in it. This is trial by fire. We are going into a time that is unprecedented. The rules of reality have changed. Humanity in a collective hasn't woken up to it yet. Those of us who have woke up to it, it's rather dangerous for us right now because, we see things very differently. So the hostilities are getting stronger, stronger, stronger. And we are doing our part in bringing in the new paradigm frequencies. We are doing our part in digesting the life force, the consciousness that we're here to integrate and make part of our lives. And that is how we're helping humanity. We are reclaiming our power of dream time. Most humans don't even recognize how their reality starts out in these nesting dolls and then percolates through to this very now moment. Those of us in this group know that this starts out here. They feel it. The truth, it may not make sense intellectually, but you can feel it in your bones. You can feel the resonance of that truth and the liberation that comes with that recognition that it starts out here, and then it comes into our here and now reality. So we are reclaiming our dream time. We are reclaiming those levels of who we are. So we're not just blindly going with a program. We're navigating. We're navigating with intention and purpose. We're navigating. We're not reacting and managing circumstances. We are purposefully navigating to create the reality that's right for us. That's what we're doing. Okay. Now, I want to answer that thing about timelines, because this is really important. So those that want to stay in the program, there's a lot of suffering in store. And there's going to be a lot of blame and a lot of divide, and they're going to quite literally destroy their own lives, destroy their own people, which that's already happened, right? Everybody's, their people are attacking each other. There's families that are fractured because of these topics, which should really tell you something, how intolerant. There's no middle ground whatsoever. Just being neutral is controversial. Now, I do my best to offer people alternatives. Once they recognize that what is being offered to them is not working, then people are willing to listen to alternatives. But until that happens, there's nothing I can do other than give the liberated perspective to the best of my ability and what lands, and what empowers you. You know what I mean? But we have to get to that point where we're actually willing to try something else. Those of us who've had those healing journeys, we've been to that point and we made our decision, and we are benefiting greatly from that decision, those decisions that we've made. Okay. All right. Let me talk about time here. So this does relate to the Great Flash, but let me first get to time. So how most people imagine time, it's like an arrow going through space, right? And most people give their autonomy over to establishments. We're trained to do that. We give the education of our children to the education system. We give our health over to the healthcare system. Well, many do, not everybody. We give our ability to make money and pay bills, we give that over to our employer. You know what I mean? We constantly are giving these empowerment pieces to other people to be responsible for, so we can just travel. We can travel comfortably. So we can travel comfortably on this timeline, on this particular timeline trajectory. Okay, this is what I call riding the jet airliner. Okay. You do what you're told, you play by the rules, you play the game that has been given to us by the established power plays, right? So we have government, we have the geopolitical, we have the medical, we have the educational, we have the the military. We have all these structures in place that kind of run everything, and we play by their rules. Therefore, there's a particular timeline trajectory that is outlined for us, right? And this timeline right here, you can maneuver. Sure, you can make a choice and go left. You can make a choice and go right? You can make these choices, but pretty much you're pretty much on a similar timeline. You're on a similar manifestation, okay? And you can go up and you can go down, right? But you can't do any drastic maneuvers. There's some people that do drastic maneuvers and their timeline might all of a sudden look like this. Major departure from the path that they were on. And you know who rides these kind of timelines? We do. Those of us who decided that the reality that we've been fed is a total bullshit lie. We're going to do something different. We're going to make our own rules. We're going to live our own life. We're going to live by our what we feel is the truth within us. Okay, we diverge drastically. Okay, to continue doing that takes courage, because you're no longer, the choices before you just become more refined. And so rather than having that easy, comfortable living, following the rules and navigating, like, okay, I want to change my life, that means I'm just going to change my job. You're still working for somebody, you're still subject to a company's rules, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a drastic change. So the trajectory is still similar. It's just a little bit this way or that way. Not a lot of maneuverability. This is also how family patterns are carried out. There's people who drastically, the black sheep of the family, drastically diverge from the family pattern. You're going to be like this too. Okay, all right. So once you make that drastic turn, then the kinds of choices that are before you become more and more refined. You're like put to the test more and more and more. How close to the truth are you going to live? How close to the truth are you going to let yourself know? How much depth of who you are, how authentically you're going to live. And when you are living 100% authentically to your truth, there's some things that come to light. Number one, the idea of safety is an illusion. It's a total illusion. It's not even true. Things can go to shit in a second, right? A split second can change everything about your life. There's no safety. Okay? So once you recognize that that's actually a reality to living, then you're that much more closer to living in your authenticity. So now you're not traveling through time on a jet airliner. You're actually on a helicopter, and you can go this way, you can come that way, you can go this way, you can go that way. Okay, you can maneuver like this, because you are in charge. You're engaged 100% in the sovereignty of your reality. You're 100% engaged in your autonomy. Your choices are your choices. You're not making choices because, the authority says this is what you have to do. It's like when they give you, like, this is what happens to me all the time. When I'm given a choice A or B, I make a door C for myself, okay? Because that is what's true for me. A or B, I don't like A, I don't like B. Yeah, I'll just make C. And then I hear, oh, you can't do that. And what do I say? Watch me. That's how that is. That's how many of you guys are too. So let me get back to how this relates to timelines. So it's just, you guys gotta know this. If you are taking total charge of your life, you are responsible and in total charge of your life. No one can tell you what to do. Nobody can obligate you to do things. Sure, people might try, and you might give into that from time to time. Especially, like I said, the choices get more and more refined and more complicated. So like when you have kids, that just ups the game to a whole nother level, because now you're not just responsible for yourself, you're responsible for raising these little humans, to be successful in this world, right? And we're given a formula of what success looks like in this world. But what they don't tell you is that it's a total lie. That formula is a lie. It's not the truth. It's a total lie. All right, so let's talk about timeline trajectories and stuff like this. Okay, so there are timelines that are, say you're still riding that jet airliner, there are timelines like this and like this. And this is what happens when you are making decisions for your life, okay? When you're making decisions for your life, you're altering your timeline trajectory for this particular quantum in this biosuit. So what happens is that all these in front of you are potentials, okay? Now, granted, from the higher perspective, looking down, you've already explored all those potentials, okay? In this particular frame-up point, you are just recognizing why you made the certain decisions that you've made, okay? So the potentials are already mapped out in your light body, and then you are navigating your potentials with your choices in the here and now. All right, so this is the idea. This is multiple timeline trajectories. This is, people say, oh, I'm going to collapse that timeline. What does that mean? That means that you are going to make a choice from a different place within yourself. Say you make this timeline trajectory is you making sure you make your parents proud. You keep peace in the family. You make sure you keep everybody connected. That's this timeline right here. All right, and say you have a lot of dysfunctional family members, and you're like, you know what? I'm spending all this time and energy trying to help my family stay together. They don't appreciate it. It's draining the life out of me. I'm going to make a different decision now. And then you're going to make a decision that takes you onto this timeline right here. Okay, and the potentials are similar, but they're different. That's time. That's how you navigate time. Now, the rub is that humanity has been lied to about who we really are, our history. We've been lied to about our history, so there's a lot of false timelines that are potentials or that are probabilities for us, okay? Once we wake up to the truth of who we are, these other false timelines that are born out of lies and just, in falsehoods, they quickly disappear, and you start to navigate more closely towards the original organic unfoldment, okay? And what do I mean by organic unfoldment? Yeah. Okay. So in this particular model, I have to give kudos to dear sister Starshine, Aurora, Flying Rainbow Lasagna Lady. I watched her draw this, and I was totally beside myself. I was like, holy crap, she got it. She was able to put it into a graphic, and I love it. I love it. All right. Say in your light body, you had the intent of experiencing love and betrayal. Okay? Let's say that was your intent. You never experienced separation before, and when you're up here in your galactic levels, you're like, wow, how does that happen? I'd like to, that's interesting. Let's explore what that is, right? So what happens is you go through the dimensional, that thought goes through the dimensional reality, it's part of your light body, and it becomes part of the exploration in your soul's journey. Okay. So there's the manipulation. So what's happened is that direct organic timelines, what that does is that you'll drop in, hit the bullseye, have that experience, have the love, have the betrayal, and then you're out. Okay? That's how it's meant to be. That's how it started off. You come into this reality, bam, have the experience, and then you come out. And then you have, and with the coming out, you retain all the knowledge and wisdom that you learned from that experience. Okay? So what false timelines, what false realities set up has done is that you start to come into this dimension, and when you start hitting some of these nesting dolls, it adds something into your light body where you don't just come in and have your experience. You come in and you have to have every possible experience of that you can. So you're coming in no longer hitting the bullseye, you're coming in having every possible experience. Okay, this is what karma does, guys. Every possible experience that particular intent can offer you as an infinite being in a biosuit. Okay? And it just keeps going and 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 going until you hit the bullseye, right? Then it's complete and you can come out. So while you're having all these all these experiences, all of the conclusions that you've come to, all of the vows that you have made, all the mystery schools you committed yourself to, create another timeline reality experience. That you don't hit the bullseye, you have every possible reiteration of that experience. You see? And imagine a gazillion dots for each of these dots. You see how it splits up your life force? This is alternate realities. Right here. Alternate timelines even. So what's happening is that all of these dots, these are, let's say these are parallel lifetimes. They're you having the experience but with a total different trajectory, right? Because of all these little offshoots. And what's happening is that we're consolidating all these aspects of us into the one that hits the bullseye. And that's what the Great Flash is about, okay? It's the one that hits the bullseye. It is waking us up to the who we are and on the most outer doll, nesting doll level, universal level that we can. It's cutting right through like a lightning bolt, striking. We wake up inside of these alternate realities and we instantly snap back to being whole again. Okay? That's what this is what the Flash is about. Now, what the Flash looks like, I really can't tell you. All I can tell you is that there are many beings and many different realities. Imagine all these dots and all these offshoots all condensing into this. I call this passing through the eye of the sun. That's what I call this, because this was the vision that I had about it. Okay, we quite literally burn off the structures that are not harmonic to the truth of who we are, and we pass through the eye of the sun. Our consciousness passes through the eye of the sun. Now, does that mean we leave these bodies and leave this plane of existence? I don't think so. I feel like it means that this plane of existence all of a sudden is going to be completely imbued with consciousness. And here's some numbers for you. Oh my gosh, I'm going over. Whew. All right, hold on. The numbers are, all right, you guys familiar with mitochondria? We have mitochondria in every single cell. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's the part of the cell that takes in the glucose and makes ATP out of it. Okay, ATP is the energy that everything in your body uses for innervation, right? So every mitochondrial, there's trillions of them in our body, is capable of putting out, I think it was 3 BTUs. Okay, this was Dr. Zach Bush that talked about this. 3 BTUs, 3 or 4. And considering we have trillions of mitochondrial activity trillions of cells all having a mitochondrial aspect within it, that means that we are capable of producing more BTU than the sun, each individual human. Okay? And as we know, light is not just light is consciousness. So for me, the big flash, I feel like, is us all of a sudden becoming fully imbued with our maximum capacity of light, of consciousness. Does that mean we're a bunch of walking stars? Maybe. If we keep our bodies, I believe that means everything in this reality becomes imbued with life force to such degree that all life wakes up to itself. The trees wake up to themselves in a bigger level. The wildlife wakes up to themselves. We wake up to everything being conscious around us. We wake up to a whole nother kind of reality. My advice is, don't wait for this to happen. Make your reality. Live your life. Have it 100%. Do it all the way. So no matter if it comes or not in your lifetime, you'll have no regrets because you've lived your life all the way. You've done everything that you wanted to do. You've lived your truth. You've loved fully. You've been loved fully, right? You created what was in your dreams to create, and you've done it all the way. And that way you can live or die with no regrets whatsoever. All right, let me pause right here and say hello to everybody, or not everyone, say hello. Oh my gosh, sorry, talk about programs. I totally went into program there. Let's say hello. Hello, dear sister Nancy. Hello, hello. All right, Spiritual Bound says, late arrival, hello all. Joanne says, what a powerful message. I wonder the percentage which is able to consider it, much less hear it. Yeah, so yes, you're talking about with the COVID thing going on. Yeah, right. This is true. So what's going to happen is that people reach rock bottom, and unfortunately, that usually means death of some sort, the death of a loved one, or you facing your own death. Death is a great awakener. It is. And people who actually take care of their own dying and dead are not impacted, they're the ones that are rejecting a lot of this programming going on, because they recognize what death is. They actually hold space for those who are crossing over. You know what I mean? They have a very different relationship. We don't take care of our elderly anymore. I mean, some cultures do, like the Amish, by the way, who will never get vaccinated, right? The Amish, it's really interesting because they don't mask. They have their own cities, they don't mask. They don't abide by any of the rules and regulations that the society has been imposing upon others, and they're not dropping like flies. They're not getting sick, they're having, they take care of their elderly. They take care of their dying and their dead. So they have a very different relationship. And there's other subcultures within the U.S., within Western culture, that does this too. And they just have a very different attitude and relationship to it. Now, the nurses are traumatized because they have to abide by these policies, and people are dying in very unsacred ways. I mean, there's people who are getting put into situations where they're quite literally dying inside while they're watching these things happen. And the more you die inside, you guys probably know this from your own wounding, the less you're able to stand in the truth of who you are. You become traumatized, you become riddled with symptoms of like PTSD and stuff like this. And you're not acting normally. You're not acting like you normally would if you were in a wholesome practice. I think that this is really what's happening to most of our doctors and nurses that are being obligated to do these policies. They are convincing themselves it's the truth. Everybody else is, the hostile enemy, and because they're stupid or ignorant or whatever. And if other people knew what they knew that they would be doing, they would listen. That I believe that's the mindset that's going on. I could be wrong on that, because I don't know a lot of people who are in the industry at the moment. I just a few, and I'm of the. I'm clear about how I am about things, so I think there's certain maybe barriers there that may have developed in our communication. But this is a major moment for humanity right now. Humanity has to wake up and reclaim their lives and reclaim this reality, or it's not going to continue the way it's been. Some people think hallelujah. some people think, some people think that, yeah, let's let a whole bunch of people die. This population, this world is too populated anyway. And there's a lot of people that really think that. There's a lot of light workers that really think that, right? So there's a lot of complexities in here that people aren't talking about that are contributing to the shut down nature of this particular topic. Now, you have to decide where you are at, and people who are hostile to you not buying into the programs, chances are they're not about listening to you anyway. It's all about forcing you or imposing their beliefs on, you know what I mean? Tyranny. It's about power over dynamics for them, though they tell themselves it's for the good of humanity. What they don't recognize is that we believe what we're doing is for the good of humanity. Actually more than the good of humanity, good for all life on this planet, not just the humans, right? So in this way, there's a shared value, right? But how we go about it is very different than how they go about it. And if you can actually have a conversation, once you recognize that those two values are shared between you, maybe something can get flushed out. Maybe some recognition can happen between those two opposing parties. What I find that when you have two opposing parties, you need to have a third point in here to pivot. So, like, for example, the remedy for war is not to force peace. Okay, that's exaggerating the opposite polarity, which strengthens that polarity of war, right? The negative side, and the cure to hate is not love. That's not that right? The cure to hate is not love, is that you're forcing people to hold on to that opposite polarity. So there's a pivot point in between always. When you have two opposing sides, it's not to exaggerate the opposite, it's to bring in a third piece that actually will create movement of that energy. For example, the cure to hate is not love. The cure to hate is compassion and forgiveness. Okay, those go hand in hand. When you can bring forgiveness into a story where there is hate, deep trauma, when you can bring compassion and forgiveness into the mix, that's when people wake up. That's when people wake up out of the control system of the hatred, right? Same thing with war. War is not alleviated by forcing peace. That's actually another kind of control system. You need to find a pivot point that ends the war. What ends the war? Right? What ends that war? Whatever it may be. These days and age, the war is over money, resources, power. I mean, look at Syria. Look what Israel's doing. I mean, there's all these people. It's not even about. They pretend it's about religion, but it's not even about that anymore. So what's the common piece? The common piece is that it's about humanity. What feeds life? War does not feed life. Forcing peace actually does not feed life either. That you need that third piece in there to create movement. So maybe it is forgiveness. Maybe it is tolerance. You know what I mean? What that third piece, it could be many things, but it can't be a polar opposite of what is, because that just holds the polarity in place. I hope this is helpful. I'm saying this to help you give a different perspective on how to deal with people who don't agree, who strongly don't agree with where your philosophy and where you're at, right? I mean, regards to COVID or vaccines or whatever. There's lots of things to pick from these days. I think we all can agree on that. All right. Thank you. All right. So I went a little over, guys. Sorry about that. So the Great Flash, I can confirm that from many sources that has been shown. Oh, the piece I have to show about that. All right. Sorry. I missed a big piece. Sorry. I totally missed the big piece. Okay. So here's the thing. And there's a great big tell. You guys know that movies, they give big tells in movies. They just rely on you not actually being able to recognize it for what it is. And the tell that I'm talking about is in the scene in an old movie. I think it's probably been in other movies too, but this one is an old one that is a classic, and I'm sure most of you guys have probably seen. And that is that movie Clash of the Titans that was made in the 80s. Okay, you guys remember that movie? And this is what happened. So you guys know Perseus went on his journey, but Zeus wanted to help Perseus out, and they were manipulating the human consciousness, and they did that by they were up in Olympus, and he was talking with, I think, Aphrodite, and he asked her, what has she done to influence humanity to motivate them to do something. I can't remember the exact details anymore. And she said, yes, I've given all my seers dreams. I've spoken to all of those that channel my consciousness, the message. Okay, so this being playing God, goddess in this case, gives humanity a version, what she wants them to have, right? She gives them thoughts. She gives them dreams. She gives them prophecy. This false goddess is giving this information to her humans so they can have an influence of what the humans do. You get me so far? Okay. So, when it comes to things like this, the Great Flash, I am not completely certain myself, and I traverse these nesting dolls on a regular basis, so I mean I get to experience lots of beings. I am not convinced that this is not a vestige of a being trying to play God to influence humanity. I'm not convinced yet. The idea is amazing. The delivery feels amazing. All these things feel great, but that doesn't mean that it's benevolent. It doesn't always mean it's benevolent. Okay, so these nesting dolls, it's very sophisticated how the space is being held for humanity. And this manipulation of our consciousness has been going on for a very long time. Okay, long time. I mean, millions of years. Okay, so that's very sophisticated, the way our perceptions have been manipulated. But this is why the truth of what's here, claiming your autonomy and living with sovereignty, this is why that's so important. So you can actually bust out of those shells, out of those control systems, and navigate according to your own spirit again. Okay, that's why this is so important in my perspective. So anyway, so I'm not convinced that it's not a being playing God, because we've been manipulated on that level many times over. So have that food for thought in there. But nevertheless, if it's benevolent or not, my advice still stands. Live your life to the fullest. Live the life of your dreams. Manifest exactly what you want. Go for it all the way. Don't wait for anything. Do you. So regardless of where or if or the intent behind the flash, doesn't even matter. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, great. You see what I mean? Either way, you've lived your life to the fullest. So that's what I have to say about that. As far as living humanity's relationship, the reason why I haven't completely dismissed it as manipulation is because I have come across many beings in the interdimensional realms of this planet, in inner Earth, and in other time-space realities, who are preparing for something like this. So that leads me to suspect that there is a much bigger nesting doll about to come online. Okay, so if it is a benevolent thing, it's a much bigger nesting doll about to come online, that's about to infuse all the versions of the Milky Way and beyond, okay, with consciousness. So it wouldn't be just the solar ring that's happening to, it's all of this Milky Way galaxy, which could be, because I'm experiencing beings from other planets that are preparing for this, like I said. So, all right, with that, I'm ending for real all the way. Thank you, darling. Thank you guys for being here. If you are interested in reclaiming your dream time and living and using your dream time to empower yourself to live a life of sovereignty and autonomy, I encourage you to check out the Dreamtime Healing Project. That you can find the information for that at lifebodyacademy.com. And then if you want to support us in this work at that same website, you can visit our donation page and contribute to help us support what we do here. Let's see, there's one more thing I have to say. Yes. Coming next month, I am starting a new program called the Quantum Reality Shift. And this is where I share on an more introductory level the tools and techniques that we utilize within Light Body to unravel intuitive blind spots and reclaim your quantum, so you can be that much more empowered to stepping into the life that you want, stepping into the timeline trajectory and creating your reality from here, from this space, from the here and now, rather than that momentum from the past. So that's Quantum Reality Shift. That's going to start in September. The registration page is not opened yet, but it will be soon, so keep an eye out for that. If you want to make sure that you're notified when we do launch that program, go to lightbodyacademy.com and make sure you get on our mailing list, because we'll be mailing that information out to our people. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. It's such a pleasure to be able to share these topics and issues at this level. I am so lucky to be able to talk with you guys like this, and I deeply appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you again. We will see you next week. Mwah, mwah. Bye-bye.